Nelson here with Average Home Theater. Yeah, I'm gonna do a little roundup. I've watched quite a few movies in the last few days. It's Mardi Gras season here in South Louisiana, and I'm not huge on Mardi Gras, so I took the time to watch several movies actually in the last couple of days. The only a couple of new ones and a couple of old ones that I just decided to watch because they were on Netflix or whatever, and yeah, figure I'd talk about them. That's what I like to do. I like to watch movies and then discuss them. So at any point, if you agree with me or you disagree, feel free to comment. Say I'm an idiot, say you agree, give me a thumbs up, and yeah, all that good stuff. So the first movie I watched this weekend because it just came on HBO Max was Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds, and I didn't have high expectations because it just didn't look great. But hey, it's free, and I really like Ryan Reynolds. Who doesn't? Okay, he's funny for the most part, um, and usually he can make a bad movie watchable. Like Red Notice. I did watch that one, and it was all right. He made it funny. Like he was actually really good in that. So, um, I gave this one a shot, and whew, man, I don't know. I was disappointed. I thought it would be at least a little bit funnier. Um, I really only laughed a couple of times. Ryan was funny for the most part. A couple other times I laughed, but overall, man, the humor or what they tried to inject as humor was very forced and not funny. There's like the boss of the gaming um, developer or whatever you want to call it. He was terrible. I don't know what who the writing was bad for him. He was trying to be funny and it just wasn't. It was actually pretty bad. Um, the story it reminded me of the Truman Show. Actually, a lot of people comparing it to Ready Player One, which it does have some parallels to that. Being a video game and people playing with their avatars in a video game. But this reminded me more of Truman Show because like everybody was watching him. Like more people were watching the game, watching him than playing it, and that's kind of like the one of the big parts of the story. So it just I don't know, it didn't really work for me. It was kind of boring at parts. I mean, there was all kind of stuff going on, like action, and I didn't even really care. I found myself, go start scrolling through my phone, just looking at stuff because I was bored. So yeah, Free Guys just it looks great. It sounds pretty good. It was just a 5.1 mix on HBO Max. So I'm sure that the 4K version may have Atmos. I'm sure it sounds great, but yeah, I don't know. Free Guy just wasn't. It didn't do it for me. It was kind of lacking. Last night I watched The King's Man. Now, I was really looking forward to this one because I love the Kingsman movies. Um, and what makes the Kingsman movies to me so good, it's not the action and the over the top stuff, because that's what makes that's the charm of it. It's supposed to be kind of like a modern James Bond or whatever. But what makes the Kingsman movies so good are the characters, right? Eggsy, Harry, and Merlin. I mean, those you love those guys. I mean, they're what makes they are what makes those movies really good. So this one, being a prequel, and I guess the reason they did a prequel is easier to do a prequel than to do a sequel after what happened in at the end of the second one. But it was just okay. This one was long in the tooth. I mean, it was only like 2 hours and 4 minutes, but it felt longer. I mean that like I even considered turning it off at one point. I was so bored in the middle. But the beginning's okay. The ending is actually pretty good. So the movie gets a higher mark because of that, because it ended on a strong note. You get to see how the Kingsmen actually formed and what was going on the whole time. But um, yeah, it just man, I was disappointed. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of action scenes. Honestly, I really thought there would have been more. But the ones they did have were pretty good, I guess. But I don't know, man. It just I was disappointed. The music was good, it looked good, but just I guess the characters, were just kind of uninteresting. Um, the guy who played, so this is a prequel, right? So they have the same names as they do now, the code names. So there's a Merlin, Gilead, and all that stuff, and you find that out later. But the the guy that plays, he's in Gladiator. The black guy, he's the African guy in Gladiator. I think he's really English or something, but he was in this and he was really good. Of course, he's always good. He had a small part for but he was really good. And Ralph Fiennes, I think that's how you say his name. He was like the main character, and he's a great actor, so of course he was good. But I just you just didn't really care too much. It's weird. Like when you watch the other two Kingsman movies, you really care about Eggsy, you really care about Harry and Merle, you really care what happens. And in this one, I just didn't care too much. So I was very disappointed in it. It's not a terrible movie. It's just not nearly as good as the other two. It was more of a serious tone than the other two were serious movies, but there was a lot of comic relief in it, and I don't know. Yeah, so that's my take on Kingsman. Very okay. If I'm gonna rate it, I'm gonna give it a 6. Free Guy's a 5 for sure. Very average movie. Kingsman's a step above that with a 6. So that was my newer movies that I watched. Now I watched a couple of older movies. Now I like creature features. I like movies about like giant alligators, or like the movie Crawl, where it's alligators and the people are trapped in the crawl space of the house, or Lake Placid, and Jaws and stuff like that. So I like creature features. So I was flipping through Netflix, and I remember watching a bear movie called Backcountry a few years back, and that was a really good bear movie, based on a true story. I mean, they took a lot of what do you call that, artistic license with it, but that movie was really good. It was a lower budget movie, but it was very well done. This one, Into the Grizzly Maze, I watched, and it leaves Netflix, I think, tomorrow. So if you want to watch it, you have like one more day, the 28th. But man, it starred Thomas Jane and James Marsden. So I thought this would actually be maybe better than Backcountry. Oh, and Billy Bob Thornton as well. So I'm like, hey, these are major actors. I thought that it would be better than Backcountry, but no. It was okay. They had some tense moments, but man, the moments with the bear. So I don't know if the director didn't know how to direct a creature feature, I guess, but all of the shots of the bear, some of them, I mean, they were reused many times. Um, it was just generic shots of the bear running, or walking, standing up and roaring, and then he'd roar. But they were used a lot, and you could tell they were nowhere near the real actors. They must have green screened a few things, because you could tell like the bear wasn't really there. Like he was imposed there, and it looked green screen. It didn't even look. I don't know. This was pretty bad. It was okay, I guess, but you don't need to watch it. It's not even worth it. Backcountry, you need to watch. That's a good bear movie. But Into the Grizzly Maze, it's leaving Netflix, so you don't even have to worry about it. I suffered through it for you. And then the last one I watched, I had seen this when it first came out. It's called Sabotage with Arnold Schwarzenegger. This one's on Netflix, and this one's a mixed bag. It's the same guy that did Training Day, David Ayer. So I remember seeing the trailer. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger as a DEA agent, tactical unit, and they rob a cartel is what they do. And man, it's such a good premise, and it has moments where it's really good. But man, a lot of the bad stuff is bad. The lady, the redhead girl who plays in the AMC TV series called The Killing. She's the detective in that. I could never remember her name. I didn't write it down. Boy, she was terrible. She overacted the part. She's not a badass, and it shows. She's a great actress, but she just did not fit this. Sam Worthington's in it. He's great, actually. I like Sam Worthington. I've never seen anything with him where he was bad. The movies may not be great, but I've never seen anything where his performance was bad. Arnold was just, like, let's face it, Arnold's not a very great or good dramatic actor at all. He fits best in his niche of kind of cheesy action movies. This one was a lot more straightforward and supposed to be a lot more of a serious tone. And I don't know, man. It was the second time I watched it, and because I watched it when it first came out, I remember being disappointed. But it came out in 2014. I was like, people change. Your the way you look at things change in the world, and it still is just okay. They missed the mark on it. It's a whodunit type of thing, because the money, little spoilers, the money disappears, right? That they steal, and then it's who took the money, and then they start getting picked off one by one. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's okay. I mean, it's on Netflix. You want to give it a shot, you may like it, but I think everybody, from what I've seen in reviews and whatnot, feel basically the same way I do, where it's a good premise, but they just executed poorly. It just didn't quite work. Some of the banter between the group. I mean, this is a group of hardcore operators. They go after drug cartels. I mean, so the banter is just not very believable. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was in the military and I was a police officer, not in any type of elite unit. I'm not trying to say that, but the banter just didn't seem kind of realistic to me. I don't know. I didn't. It was just, Is it worth a watch? Probably, but it's about a 5. It's not above an average movie. It's nothing you have to go, oh man, I heard this movie's really good. If you want to check it out of curiosity and, or if you've seen it, let me know what you think because I'm very curious. So, yeah, I think that's about it that I've watched lately. Waiting for, what am I waiting for? There's another movie. I can't think of it. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for right now. If you have any suggestions, if you want to say, hey, what do you think about this movie? And I can watch it, I'll give it a shot. And yeah, I think that'll be it. Anyway, hope y'all have a good one. And give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.